It is really important to save places like this, is that once it's gone, it's gone.
It has always been, in my life, a magical place to come. I think many people in Ripon consider this their private woods. From the time I can remember, a ritual to come to the woods, especially in the spring, to see the wildflowers.
When I was young, coming here with mother and father and grandparents too, I felt really safe here. And it seemed like you were in somewhere completely removed. It's like a little diamond.
So to find a woods that is as pristine as this one, and just being able to enjoy it. I think South Woods provides a very important aspect to the community in terms of giving Riponites and those from around the surrounding areas a place to explore. There's really not a lot of wooded area here that's open. Most of it's held privately, hunting land and things like that.
South Woods it's here, and you can come out here any season. It doesn't matter the weather. Always see something new. This is a great place both to investigate nature and do science, but it's also a great place to sort of relax and take some time with your own thoughts.
When you can find an area that's had fairly minimal human impact, and you have the opportunity to save it for study, for enjoyment, for pleasure, for art, it's just so important. There was a perceived threat that this area was going to be logged off. And some of the women in the Education Club and Science Club felt that it ought to be saved. From that point forward, gained momentum and actually were able to purchase the first parcel of South Woods. It's really interesting reading about all the fundraising flower shows and all the different kinds of things. They each chipped in $2 to help pay off the first debt. The official state charter was done, I believe, December 30th of 1901. And then their first official meeting of the Southwoods Park Association was in February of 1902. But it is the oldest land trust organizations in the state of Wisconsin. They saw a specific need, but they were way ahead of their time in terms of realizing that action needed to be taken in order to save that for future generations. Southwoods Park Association was originally a women's-only organization. It arose out of these two clubs, the Science Club and the Education Club, and for the first few decades, women only could be a member of the Southwoods Park Association. They did eventually, I think in the 50s, allow men to be members, but still not on the board. And then at some point after that, men were allowed to be fully participating members of the Southwoods Park Association.
Clarissa Tracy, the mother of Ripon College, she was a math professor, botanist. She worked at a variety of levels here for over a half a century. She published a checklist of plants in the Ripon area. This was an area that was very special because of the college and the lake that kind of set up the situation where there were very highly educated women that wanted to make a difference. And they certainly did by setting this aside. They were right at the cutting edge of conservation over a century ago. One of the reasons that it is, I'll use the term special here, it supports a wide variety of wildflowers that are ephemerals. They bloom for a short time in the spring and then they disappear. It's a great place for the stopover of many migratory birds and resident birds as well.
It's not uncommon to come out here and see pileated woodpeckers, warblers that migrate through in the spring. Owls, we often see barred owls out here too. It's really something.
We're less than 100 acres here. It's bordered by farmland in part, but also forest land and prairie land there. It's very different from many of the other woods around the state of Wisconsin. It's small, it's not completely virgin woods, but it's one of those that's been somewhat unmanaged for over a century. The woods has a number of processes that are evident, great for students, all sorts of educational levels from elementary to college level.
As a child, I was really interested in biology. I'm just really passionate about plants and pollinators, so it's like the perfect space to research both of those.
At Ripon College, we actively engage students in undergraduate research that's outside of the classroom, oftentimes during the summer. And one of the things that I've really become interested in over the past couple of years is insect pollinators. Insect pollinators are declining, and there are a number of reasons for that, but one of the things that I'm really interested in is how we can keep them around. And we were lucky enough to locate a federally endangered bumblebee on our prairie. That's the rusty patch bumblebee. But the rusty patch and other pollinators like that require diverse habitats for foraging, especially in the spring when the spring ephemerals are in bloom, and also for nesting. So I suspect that a place like South Woods provides really important habitat for foraging and nesting for the rusty patch bumblebee and all sorts of other bumblebee species and other pollinator species in general. So the things that we might see out on the prairie or in our lawn may actually, and probably certainly do, rely on South Woods.
We talk about succession ecologically, and the succession here is moving from an oak forest to a maple basswood forest. We have some other forces that are shaping the forest, and one of those is the emerald ash borer, and there are a number of ashes in the forest that are not going to survive that. The forest composition has changed because it naturally changes and because of outside forces.
Climate change is a thing and it impacts all things, and we're going to see intensity of storms increase. This is something that has been demonstrated worldwide. The summer of 2021, we saw a strong storm event that came in and damaged, we don't know how many trees, but Southwoods looks very different now than it did 2 years ago because of this singular storm event that had extremely strong winds. That kind of thing will likely be more common.
The problem with not managing the woods at all is that the invasives can start outcompeting the small spring ephemerals. They're a hardy lot as long as they don't have to compete with plants we brought from Europe and Asia. So invasives such as garlic mustard, European buckthorn, and Dame's rocket, those are 3 of the worst ones. They can actually shade out and outcompete the others.
It's intact. It's been protected since the early 1900s. It's been cared for over the course of that time. So a lot of dedicated folks, dedicated volunteers keeping invasive species out, which is something you don't see at a lot of other forests this size.
My concern is young people, if we can just get young people interested in and active in it. I think it is building. You see more young people when it comes to the spring walk than we used to have. Number one, the Ripon community doesn't know how important it is. That's probably the most upsetting in my book, but it is definitely an asset to the city of Ripon, not only for its beauty, but just a place to go and relax and enjoy. They should walk through the leaves in the autumn. There's animals, there's birds, there's the water, but it's beautiful. It's just a place that Ripon should have and Ripon should maintain.
I think it's important for children to grow up with that understanding of there is something other than pavement and concrete and buildings.
My husband being a 4th grade teacher in the Ripon School District, the woods was also an extension of his classroom. He would come out here and share the passion that he had for the woods with his students. Now we have our grandchildren who have started to go through the woods, so that would be the next generation.
My children started coming here when they were really young. We would hide around in the trees and being really careful where we walked. Kind of had a real playful joy attached to it. It transformed into an educational piece with the learning of the plants and seeking them out, and so that gave me joy too, that they were able to identify and appreciate the beauty of the woods.
The community has been, I would say, profoundly affected by the preservation of the woods.
It's very peaceful. It's very nice to just come out here and refresh from everything that's going on, from school or sports or just like life in general, be one with nature.
When you live in a place, even a rural area such as Ripon here, finding a place of solitude might be a little difficult because there are people around, there are machines around, and this is kind of an island in all of this. It's also neat to know that there's a special place that plants and animals can be and not be disturbed. To have that knowledge that we don't dominate everything.
Close by were other flowers. God made these and the tree. Or stood there brave and